For Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with players that may link with a summer transfer move to Arsenal. Arsenal versus Dortmund tomorrow. Yet another friendly as we try to ramp up, the fitness and the sharpness of the players. Hopefully it'll be a better performance than what we saw the other day over there in Ireland. That was truly shocking. I still feel sorry for the fans that were over there. But listen, got to get sharp. Only 2 weeks left until we play our first game against Coventry, the opening game of the Premier League season. The champions will be in action, and will we be getting any more players in? We know that Arsenal are actively looking for a left winger, especially after the Vinicius Junior thing fell through, and also looking for a centre back. But who are they going to bring in? Who are they going to turn to now that the Vinicius dream is over? Well, maybe they could be turning to a player that they've been targeting for a very, very long time. Mikel Arteta loves the player, and that's Kenan Yildiz of Juventus. Still only 21, a real superstar at that club, seen as the sort of jewel in the crown of Juve. But rumours gathering pace today that Arsenal are interested in signing Kenan Yildiz. A lot of this emanating from a journalist goes by the name of Matisse Pog. He's saying that Arsenal are going to make a big offer to try and sign Yildiz. Now, as I said, the interest has existed in Kenan Yildiz for a very, very long time. It is a player that Arsenal really, really like. However, really, really liking player and getting a player of that caliber away from his club is a completely different matter. Juventus have previously said he's not for sale at any price. One of the so-called, what clubs call untouchables, not for sale at any price. But there are reports coming out that a fee, sometimes players do have their price, a fee of around about £120 million could change their mind and could get him away from the club. He only signed a new deal, I think it was in June. He extended his contract till 2030. They've upped his wages. I think this would be an extremely difficult deal to get done, even though, as I said, I'm seeing it everywhere today. Kenan Yildiz. But I don't think Juventus are going to want to let him go. And if they do, it's going to take an unbelievable fee. Somebody who may be more gettable, even though, again, very, very expensive, is Bradley Barcola. We know that he's said to PSG he's not signing a new contract, and he would like to leave the club, and they've set their price of 140 million. I don't think they're getting that. I don't think anybody's going to pay that, but it does look like he's going to be on the move. Now, he's been talking to Liverpool. They've been discussing personal terms. They've been discussing, the move, how it could all go. But there are claims today that Arsenal could be in for a hijack on this move. He's an out-and-out left winger. He's lightning quick, which is, something that's always very useful on that wing. And he's a top player. £140 million worth, I would say no. Would you say, if you're comparing him to, Morgan Rogers went for £170 million, would you say that he's worth that as well then? If Morgan Rogers has gone for that, definitely you would. He's played in 2 Champions League winning teams and contributed to that for PSG. I guess you could say his value should be more than Morgan Rogers. He's done a lot more than him. But remember, Arsenal weren't willing to pay the £170 million for Morgan Rogers. So are they going to go and pay, say, 120, 130 for Bradley Barcola? It's to be seen. It's to be seen if they would be willing to, go as high as that. But a player being linked with them today. They're also being linked with Pio Esposito. Now, they've been linked with this guy before. 21-year-old player from Inter Milan, centre forward. Really strong, really top young player. Came through the Inter Academy. Again, another one of those players viewed by their club as an untouchable, even though they have a lot of attacking talent. There at Inter, of course, Lautaro Martinez, they've got Thuram there as well. But they see Esposito as a really important player. Lots of stories and reports today that they value him around about £73 million. Still very, very young. But could Arsenal make a move for him? We know that Arsenal are looking to sell Gabriel Jesus. If Gabriel Jesus leaves the club, that's another striking option down. So could Arsenal be making a play for a more sort of central player like a Pio Esposito, caught offside, one of the numerous publications saying yes. Manchester United also interested in him as well. But again, will the club sell? What about centre-back position? We know that this is a problem at Arsenal right now. So it wasn't last season because, you know, we had the best defence in the league. But William Saliba, injured. He's got this problem with his back. Didn't help that he played right throughout the World Cup with it. And he's going to need, at the very least, a rest of that back and rehabilitation. Arsenal have already come out and said that. And then you add into that the problem that you've got Timber there, injury prone. Ben White, injury prone, right? You've got Mosquera, youngster, who might have to cover that right back position as well as centre back. So Arsenal do need to bring in centre back cover. They're looking at Ezri Konsa. They've been looking at him right since the start of the window. They're getting more serious on this one. As time is starting to draw towards the start of the season, I even saw reports today claiming that his teammates are worried he could leave. What Arsenal ideally would like is a Premier League ready centre-back who just steps straight in and is ready to go. And they look at Ezri Konsa and they say, this is the guy, be ready to go. His stats last season were really, really good in defence at Villa. Of course, got into the England squad and was an England regular throughout the World Cup. This could happen before the end of the window, but how much will they have to pay? There's been quotes of £60 million coming out of Villa, which is a lot of money. He's 28, but it's a problem position at the moment with Saliba.
Now, this story broke yesterday evening whilst we were live, and it has grown already since then. And Gary Jacobs here stating that Mikel Arteta has been trying to strengthen Arsenal's left flank this summer. They have explored a deal for Bradley Barcola, valued at 128 million, with Liverpool also interested. Arsenal are also searching for a centre-back and potentially a forward, with Julian Alvarez as the main target. Now, during the Vinicius Junior saga, the talk of Julian Alvarez really died down. And the reason it died down is because Arsenal know if they would have spent 150 million on him, the image rights, the bonus, the wages, it isn't just 150 million. A massive chunk of their player budget goes because, remember, it isn't about net spend. It isn't just about transfer outgoings. The salary he would have been on would have been 400,000 to 500,000. The image rights bigger than everybody else. That comes out of the pot for buying players because it isn't just a transfer. It's not like a computer game with a wage bill and a transfer package and an agent fee package and a bonus package. There's just essentially a pot of money that is used to cover those expenses for players. And the higher the salary you can... The one part of the game that is true, you can do this on the computer games, if you increase your salary budget, you see your transfer budget go down. There's an element of truth into it. It just isn't as basic as that. But I'm not surprised to see these links. Now, some might say they're lazy links to get Arsenal fans back involved and engaging. I don't think they are. We know Arsenal are involved in this deal, and all summer long, their name has been attached to it. Now, Sam Blitz here says that Arsenal are interested in Julian Alvarez, and there is currently a stalemate as Atletico Madrid do not want to sell Alvarez to Barcelona and would rather let him go to a club outside of Spain if he leaves. Arsenal need to convince Alvarez that North London is the right move.
Let's start with where we are right now. After missing out on Vinicius Junior, who's since re-signed at Real Madrid, Arsenal are reportedly weighing up a genuinely bold move, hijacking Liverpool's pursuit of PSG winger Bradley Barcola. And this isn't some random suggestion either. Former Arsenal midfielder Emmanuel Frimpong has publicly called for exactly this, saying Barcola, alongside Bruno Guimaraes, would represent a superb transfer window for the club. The problem, and it's a big one, is that Liverpool are already considerably further down the road with this deal. Reports suggest personal terms discussions with Barcola are much more advanced on Merseyside, and one headline even described the Liverpool deal as effectively agreed, subject to Liverpool and PSG settling on a fee. That fee, by the way, is eye-watering. PSG are reportedly demanding somewhere between 150 and 170 million euros for a player who cost them just 45 million when he arrived from Lyon back in 2023. Liverpool have been described as reluctant to pay that much, which technically leaves a door open. But here's the honest assessment doing the rounds in the press right now. Arsenal are said to be put off by the asking price too, and their acknowledgement is refreshingly candid. Sources close to the club admit Liverpool are simply much further along in this race, including on the personal terms side, the exact area where hijacks usually need an edge to actually work. So while Barcola remains theoretically in play, don't be surprised if this ends up being more noise than substance. Arsenal have reportedly already turned their attention to alternatives too, with Everton's Iliman Ndiaye emerging as another name under consideration, alongside Ajax's Mika Götze. That tells you Arsenal's recruitment team are hedging their bets rather than putting all their energy into a Barcola swoop that increasingly looks like a long shot. Now let's get to Julian Alvarez, because this one genuinely has more layers to it than most transfer sagas this summer. If you go back a few weeks, the story was straightforward. Arsenal switched their focus to Alvarez, specifically because Barcola looked unavailable, with reports at the time framing this as a natural pivot after missing out elsewhere. But then things went quiet. Journalist Alex Crook reported that Arsenal's interest had actually receded, saying the club hadn't gone back to revisit talks despite earlier contact, even as Alvarez himself was described as clearly hankering for a move away from Atletico Madrid.